Good evening. Welcome to the Village Board meeting for the Village of Pleasantville. Today is Monday, November 5. If you are watching live on Monday, November 5, which either means you have power or you're huddled with friends or neighbors or are cranking very hard on some hand crank, you're welcome to call in with comments, questions, or inquiries. 769-1677 is the call-in number. That's 769-1677. As always, you can catch us on Cablevision or on Verizon Fios, and also at pctv76.org, both live and with on-demand webcasts that are posted within a day or two. Our next regular meeting is Monday, November 19 at 8 p.m. with a work session at 7. So much to say. Obviously, it's been an extremely tough week for everybody in the Northeast and beyond, and certainly for everybody in Pleasantville. Let me just give you the most immediate updates that are on the top of everyone's mind. The first is that tomorrow is Election Day, and the advice we have from the County Board of Elections as of this evening is that everybody should go to their normal polling place, and that all polling places that do not have power as of 8 p.m. tonight will be furnished with generators provided by FEMA or by Con Ed, so that according to this report, every polling place will be up and operational tomorrow morning to vote. There is at least one polling place in Pleasantville, the Lutheran Church, at the moment that, as at our last report, had neither power nor a generator, but the press release from the county board says you should go where you normally would go to vote. So I assume that if there are any hiccups in that system of getting power to those sites, you should go where you normally go, and they'll send you elsewhere if there's any need to do so. So vote tomorrow, vote at your normal locations. Second is, people are obviously extremely unhappy about the situation with power outages. It's a little hard to determine exactly how many houses we had out, but it was roughly somewhere between a quarter and a third of our total residences were out of power, and many of them remain out of power today, now 7 days after the storm. Con Edison has been massively frustrating. Easy to cut them some slack in the early going. This was a massive problem, and one that takes some doing to muster a response. But at this point in time, I can report personally my interactions with them, which have been early and often and frustrating, have at this point devolved into utter frustration. Con Ed cannot tell us, with not even with any specificity, they can't tell us at all where they are or what they're doing. The report they gave us today is that there were no crews in the village at all, that their priorities, perfectly understandably, were nursing homes, schools, polling places, and feeder lines that serve large areas. Those are reasonable decisions, but those are the kinds of priorities they've been telling us were in operation for the last several days, and that each new day we would be provided with more specifics about when homeowners could expect to see Con Ed trucks in their neighborhoods, or when they could see feeder and distribution lines restored that would restore power. As of the moment, Monday, November 5, I can't tell you any of that. Con Ed is simply unable to give us any information. The last official statement they made is that they expect, quote, the vast majority of outages to be restored by the end of next weekend. That's what, the 11th? With the remaining outages after, quote, the vast majority are resolved, to be restored by the week thereafter. So we have had multiple conversations with Con Edison. Patty Dwyer has been beating on them regularly. Jeff Econom, our superintendent of public works, has been beating on them. We have been chasing Con Ed trucks and throwing our bodies in their path, and being extremely aggressive, as have many of our neighbors on the daily conference calls that go on with the county and with Con Edison. So it is massively frustrating, and I think really arriving at the point of unforgivable communication failures. I don't mean to be able to identify the scope of the work that has to be done in the field, but I think it's pretty clear that the communication function isn't working, and we have made that point vigorously, repeatedly, and vociferously. So I can't tell any of you what's going to happen, and we will tell you every day whenever we can. So we've been posting notices on the Pleasantville listserv for those of you who have access to power, have smartphones, or have access to the internet in some other way, we strongly encourage you to go to pleasantville-ny.gov. In the left-hand column on the home page, you can subscribe to news. That gives the opportunity to subscribe to a bunch of different things. You can choose what you're interested in receiving as an email. But if you subscribe to news and subscribe to emergency announcements, that means that the daily postings that we have been putting out will come to you automatically. We're also sending them out on a number of private other lists, and using any list we can come up with. They're printed out and taped on the front doors at Village Hall, and I'm also now sending them to the library and to churches that may have an opportunity to post them, to Virginia Pancotti down at the Senior Center, recognizing that not everybody has access to internet to begin with, and lots of people that normally do don't have easy access right now. So that is the grim report we have about power. Certainly there are still hundreds and hundreds of houses out, and Jeff Econom, our Superintendent of Public Works, has done a list of what we understand to be the existing power issues, and I'm going to ask you to suffer through my reading it. The reason I want to do that is we are trying to do Con Edison's work for them and make sure that we understand everybody who's out. So I'm going to read off this list of what we believe to be the existing power issues in the Village of Pleasantville. If you have a power issue and you do not hear your name or your street or your neighborhood mentioned here, I encourage you to email, if you can, Jeff Econom, our Superintendent of Public Works, at jeconom, that's JECONOM, at pleasantville-ny.gov, or leave a voicemail at 914-769-1690. So I'll repeat those at the end of this list. But these are the existing power issues as we understand them right now. Primary and secondary lines are out on Sarles Lane, and that has spillover effect on a number of other adjacent streets, including Pleasant Avenue. Dogwood is out. Martling Avenue is out. Charlemont Drive is out. There are 2 big pine trees that have to be cut, and we expect some progress on that very soon. Guyan Street is out between 20 Guyan and Bedford Road. Ridgeview, section of Marble Avenue near an area of Iroquois near number 23 with a tree in the wires. Onderdonk, Bedford Road near C.V. Pierce, out at the northern edge of the village. There are limbs on the wires. Near 70 Lenox, there's an insulator and a primary that have come off the pole. Washington Avenue, in the area across from the Newcastle Town Hall, there's a primary as well as an aerial on the ground. There are snap poles on Clark Street affecting Clark Street, a section of Manville Road. And in the area near 46 Bedford Road, we have a branch on the wire. Individual house services are out. That is the wire to the house pulled down at 19 Tioga, near 50 Nanahagan, 75 Bedford, 119 Pierce, 114 Broadway, 26 Southview, 5 Sarles, 151 Pleasant, and 49 Clark. So if that list that I just read off does not include an outage that you are aware of, please call and leave a message at 769-1690 or an email to jeconom, JECONOM, at pleasantville-ny.gov. That will help us track the list of things that need to be done in Pleasantville and help us backstop at the moment, rather questionable data that we feel we're getting from Con Edison. We're out there in every possible way trying to get service restored wherever we possibly can.
These weren't the first. These were on the tickets that we did on Tuesday, right after the storm, that Con Ed went around with you and did, correct? These were all.
They've always been on the tickets.
They've always been on the tickets since last Tuesday.
Right.
That is correct.
Right.
And
Okay.
Jeff completed a street-by-street review today.
I just wanted to make sure that
Right.
this isn't just like a list we just made up out of the clear blue sky. It was something that we, that Jeff Econom and our liaison to Con Ed went around on Tuesday right after the storm, and they logged all of this, and Con Ed gave each one a ticket number, which took hours of paperwork to call in. So, you know, it's not like they're hearing this for the first time. They heard this on Tuesday, the day after the storm. So, I'm sorry. I just
No
wanted
problem.
to
Absolutely.
clarify that.
So, again, that's the list we have. Voicemail at 769-169. 1690 or jeconom@pleasantville-ny.gov. Con Ed asks us constantly to report what is, I hope, obvious, and that is any wire that's down you should assume to be live. Don't assume that it isn't live just because it looks like a phone wire or a cable wire. Any wire down should be assumed to be live. Stay away from it. Con Ed asks that outages be reported to 1-800-75-CON-ED. Don't assume that Con Ed knows for the reasons I just stated, and don't hesitate to bother them because we are pushing in every possible direction.
It's a call center in some faraway land.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's important to stay on because they're clearing homes. They're saying homes that don't have electricity have electricity. You need to make sure that your house is still on that list.
Absolutely. So tell us, tell them, don't be shy about making sure that everybody knows what's going on. I will say we participate daily in a conference call with the county and with all of the municipalities, and the restorations are happening unevenly for reasons that we wish we understood but don't. But I can report that some of our nearby neighbors are in far worse condition than we are, and I say that not because we have been restored, but because the conditions were extremely bad, certainly in Newcastle and Chappaqua area. Even as recently as this weekend, there were still 20-some odd streets that were blocked with residents unable to get out of their homes. And so we certainly sympathize with all our neighbors, and the reality at the moment is that everybody is ratcheting up the volume to scream louder to try to get their residents served, and we certainly are working with Con Ed in every possible way, both behind the scenes and in a public way to get Pleasantville's needs addressed. So
I saw at 5 o'clock the governor's press conference, and he lashed out pretty hard at the utility companies. So I didn't get a chance to see that, but I can tell you, I think all of us just about lost it today. Patty and Jeff suffered through an extremely frustrating experience with a Con Ed liaison who was a warm body but pretty much nothing else. And then I had a conversation working my way up the chain, and honestly would have to report that the higher you go, the better they are at not telling you anything. So there you have it. We will report on a daily basis.
I just want to note, too, that their plan was not a good plan from the beginning. They had this idea that they would send crews in to clear, which they need to do with the municipality, with the DPW departments or highway departments of towns or cities. And then they leave and don't restore. Whereas in some cases you can restore. It's not a feeder line, it's just maybe an isolated neighborhood. And you could put houses back on here and there. I believe you could have had probably half the county back on if they would have cleared and restored. For instance, the village of Pleasantville, as of Wednesday, was clear. Our DPW, headed by Jeff Econom, worked very, very hard. This crew with absolutely no sleep, and they cleared our roads. And you want to clear the roads because you want to be able to have emergency vehicles be able to access them. And we work very hard to do that. There is no reason why I just don't, it's unacceptable that Con Edison cannot at the same time put that wire back up again. And it's not the crews are great, they're trying to, but it was this edict from the top. This was their plan of action. And it's stifling any progress, obviously, and I just think they had a bad plan from the beginning, and it's showing how bad it was when people are around with still no heat and another storm coming.
Well, so be that as it may, we certainly confront a vacuum of communication, and that simply has got to be healed. So we're all yelling about it. So. Just to give you a little bit of a sense for how this all went down, first off, I was trapped out of the city and couldn't get back. I want to thank Mindy Berard, Deputy Mayor, for having stood in my stead, and I appreciate that very much. Patty Dwyer, Jeff Econom, Richie Love, our police chief, Captain Kelly Connolly of the Ambulance Corps, Bruce LaMonica, the chief of the Pleasantville Volunteer Fire Department, mustered here at Village Hall. Mike Testa, our building inspector, Steve Bakafuska, our code enforcement officer, all these people here
Mario.
all night, as well as many of our guys in the DPW crew to man the Emergency Operations Center, and an extraordinary sharing of both staff and volunteer services. We saw that only a year ago at Hurricane Irene, and amazingly have had to muster it again only a year later. But you have been extremely well served by both your village staff and by the Volunteer Ambulance Corps, the Pleasantville Volunteer Fire Department, as well as by many of your neighbors. So when the storm...
I mentioned just too on relief for Kelly Connolly, the captain of the Pleasantville Ambulance Corps, who was here all night, was Gail Wynn, her mom, and relief for Bruce LaMonica was Manny
Colmenares.
Right. Who
Thank you.
and as you know, could I just give
Please
extra
do.
kudos just
Yes.
to the chief. It is a very stressful situation opening an Office of Emergency Management, and once the executive signs off on the fact that you are opening up an Office of Emergency Management, it becomes the sole responsibility of the chief of police to manage the office, and it's very stressful, and he did such a wonderful job, so professional, and the way he had the village staffed and the people here, it was just really unbelievable. And Jeff Econom, I just can't say enough. I mean, no sleep, literally. Mike Testa, Patty, the chief, no sleep at all, out the next morning at the crack of dawn as soon as they could, because the frustrating part to all of us was getting these phone calls when the storm hit and knowing that people were without power and God knows what else was going on out there. The rule is for the fire department and Con Edison too, of winds over 40 miles an hour, they're not going out, and our fire department can't go out. Very frustrating for the fire department, and so it was edge of your seat kind of thing. And Patty, your leadership through it all was just really incredible. I thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I mean, we have a very effective and a very competent staff here, and I try to say it as many opportunities as I get to say it, that I'm very fortunate to be working here, you know, with those types of talented people working alongside of me. Thank you.
Well, and the service is clear. When the storm eased, we had, at the worst case, 41 roads closed and 12 homes that were struck by trees and had down wires, and within 24 hours all roads were passable, and every home had been inspected. So again, thanks to Jeff and Mike, gives you a sense for what's going on.
I just have to say one thing though. The next day, on Tuesday, before we even went out, we were with our liaison and our Con Edison liaison, and we were going over those 41 incidents, and out of one of these windows we saw Con Ed trucks pull up to get coffee out of Frank and Joe's, because it was the only place open, and you never saw 4 or 5 people run out, get them! And we jumped, Jeff, you know, we got them, and we kept them for the next day and a half, thanks to Mario and Jeff and Mike Testa, and so we tethered them to us, as Patty says.
So, going forward, the bad news is a nor'easter of some sort is predicted for midweek, hitting Wednesday, maybe Wednesday into Thursday. Rain, possibly sleet, possibly snow, as well as some winds. Obviously, very bad news for all of us, especially those with no power and no heat. That would include at least a couple of us sitting here. If you find that you can't stay in your home, or you're aware of someone who's at risk in these very cold conditions, there remains an overnight shelter available at Mount Pleasant Town Hall. You can call 769-1941 for an overnight shelter. There are also daytime warming centers. The library has been great, a great resource. Colleen can touch on that in a minute. Yesterday on Sunday, the Burns Film Center opened up and showed kids movies at the Media Arts Lab, and then broadcast the football games and had a nice flow of people who were able to come and charge their cell phones, use the Wi-Fi, and get a chance to watch a movie or a football game. Thank you again to the Burns Media Lab for that. Presbyterian Church had a pasta dinner for anybody without a power. A lot of other churches have done the same. Churches leaving the front door open, come on in, charge your cell phone, warm up, whatever. Pace University had a drop-in warm-up center today at the Kessel Center. I don't know if that's every day going forward.
I tried to get in touch and I wasn't able to. It just was for today and that update, but if we find out again, we'll get that info out.
And I know that Club Fit and New York Sports Club were inviting people in to shower, don't have to be a member. So I can tell you that I personally have seen a whole lot of stories that make clear what a fantastic place this is.
Parabec on 11/7.
All right, so you want to read that? You just got that?
I just, Ben Sarabin, if you're watching. Oh, he's not watching because he doesn't have power. He just said he received from Con Ed at 5:38 p.m. on Monday, 5/5 today. We're calling to advise you that we began restoration work in your area and expect to have your electric service back by 11 p.m. on Wednesday, November 7th. Thank you for bringing the problem to our attention. Like it wasn't banged over their head 5 times. We are sorry for these.
2 days from now.
Yeah. But that's the first.
Who knows what that means?
They had told us Saturday.
Yeah.
So that's unbelievable.
Stay tuned. That's the kind of scattershot data we're getting, but we'll take anything we can get. So I mentioned the warming centers. I mentioned the overnight shelters. And again, please do not hesitate to reach out to neighbors who may be at risk or may be suffering a bit but shy about asking for help. We have a lot of resources in the village to help connect people with help, and you can email me at pscherer@me.com, pscherer@me.com. Call Patty Dwyer at 769-1940. Reach out to Virginia Pancotti at the Senior Center. Don't be shy, because we certainly have had some people who've been struggling to try to make a go of it as the temperatures drop, and have gotten into a little bit of trouble as a result. So I just want to thank our downtown merchants and our Chamber of Commerce, Bill Flukes, and all the folks involved there. Blessedly, the downtown was spared the power outages, and if there's a silver lining in this dark cloud, those guys have done, I think, quite well as a business matter, and they have also done quite well in terms of serving the village. A bunch of those restaurants and delis have stayed open long hours and been a great service to everybody. So the Chamber of Commerce mustered a list of services available, and a bunch of stores and service storefronts invite people in to charge their batteries. You can go to pleasantville.com and take a look at what that list is. So just one of the very nice things that starts to happen when people are having trouble. So lastly, I just wanted to mention, and certainly not worth going to a whole lot of detail, but what I do think might be worth doing into some detail at a future meeting is to talk a little more to all of you about what really is going on to run this village, the extraordinary complexity as well as service provided by the Pleasantville Volunteer Fire Department and by the Pleasantville Volunteer Ambulance Corps and by our own crew to maintain a system that delivers water to your house and manages the stormwater system, manages the sewer system, and deals with all of the physical problems that can happen in a storm. You see it up close and personal in the aftermath of all of this, and I can tell you that there are an awful lot of people up at all hours of the night doing all kinds of crazy things, crawling around on their hands and knees in dark places to make sure that when you turn on the faucet you get water and that the system continues to work. So,
and I have to say that's true, but the thing that amazes me is when we're looking at the people that work for this village, how they do it at 2 a.m. with such good cheer and such energy. I mean, these guys are not doing it for the money. They're not doing it for the salary. They're doing it because they want to make the village better. And that was to me, every interaction I had with every single person in the village, that was the overwhelming feeling I had. And it just made me feel like somebody's looking out for us here, and we're somehow doing the right thing. So.
And thanks to Shane, and this is to what you were saying about explaining what happens. We realized on Monday when we opened the Office of Emergency Management that, do people even know what that means? Do they even understand what numbers to call, how it all works? And so Brian, thank you to Shane and PCTV. Brian and I went out in the hallway and we did a little infomercial to try to get out to people on Monday before the storm hit. This is what is going on. This is the numbers you call. We gave them the Con Ed number. We gave them the police number, because if your tree hit your house, call the police, and then the police calls up here to the Office of Emergency Management. Jeff is sitting here. You have to have somebody from every department. And we tried to go through that. I think we did an okay job, Brian, in an impromptu kind of way, even though Brian's 8 feet taller than me and I have to hold the microphone up there. But I appreciate that, Brian, very much. It was very helpful. And next time, maybe the mayor could do a show on what goes on in emergency situations like this, and what the Office of Emergency Management is for, what a state of emergency means. It's a little frustrating at times when we don't want people on the street for a reason. It was dangerous. There's wires down, there's branches falling, and that's why you have to declare a state of emergency, and for other reasons as well. But we tried to explain that as best we could. And thank you, PCTV, for being there for us.
Yeah, no doubt. And as I think you have heard tonight, every member of this board is out there working in really quite dedicated ways to help us get all through this. And in some cases, myself included, we're doing it out of our own cold, dark houses. So Colleen is in exactly the same boat. So I just got an email, just another bit of news from Michael Spindler, who's the Chief Operating Officer at the Jewish Child Care Association. He says, Dear Mayor Scherer, the Westchester campus of the Jewish Child Care Association at 1075 Broadway is also available as a warming center, and we're available through also available through our young people to cook and serve meals to members of the community. Any other ways we can assist, we stand ready to do so. So a nice thing coming there.
I just want to mention, too, you mentioned briefly, I want to say thank you to the library and John Fearon, who opened their doors all weekend in extended hours. The library was packed. There were hundreds and hundreds of people with chargers. Friends of the library brought in coffee and tea. It was a really nice vibe, and he will do that again if needed. So we're going to keep him updated as to what the outages are, and if he needs to extend the hours again, we will do so. But I really do want to thank him and his staff who volunteered their time to go late. And the other thing I wanted to mention is tomorrow is Election Day. We're going to be opening up the Clinton Street Center tomorrow at 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Folks who don't have power can come down. They can watch the election on TV. We're going to have lots of outlets there for your electronics, and you can bring in food or order in food. We're going to have some takeout menus and have some things to pick on. We'll be there from 6 to 10.
Great.
That's tomorrow.
That's great, 6 to 10.
It's so funny that the library was very gracious during Irene as well, but you went in there to cool off, remember? Because it was so hot.
right.
And now you're going in there to heat up.
The one thing I do want to mention, though, is because this morning when the library opened, what did he say? There were 200 people in the library in about 10 minutes.
Right.
But you need to adhere to the parking regulations up there. We had a problem last week at dismissal time and a little problem again today. So the state of emergency has been lifted, which means parking restrictions still apply. And we just want kids to be safe.
Is there school tomorrow? Election?
Yes.
There is.
It's a modified schedule because of all the missed days.
Oh, so they put it back on the schedule?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're open as well.
What?
Yeah, and we're open as well.
We're open tomorrow.
So,
Village, yeah.
It's not our fault.
amid all of this, we've been obviously in regular touch with Mary Fox Alter and the folks at the school district and the school board. They have been great as well in keeping everybody in communication, and I have been in daily communication with Joan Mayberry and the folks over at the town of Mount Pleasant, and Jonathan and I can jointly thank them for the loan of a trailer-mounted generator on Saturday that we needed urgently. Jeff Econom worked it out when we needed to supply power to some water booster pumps, and briefly had what sounded like a jet landing at LaGuardia at the corner of Brentwood
The
and Hillview.
film that Sarah put up on the pad, I saw the smoke coming out. I was like, oh, gosh. That's not
It was just when you start up. So, blessedly, the Skytop neighborhood was brought back up at about 4 a.m. that morning. Not that Con Ed told us that was going to happen. But it's just symptomatic of the way things have been going. But thanks to the town of Mount Pleasant for that, and we've loaned them back some other stuff. So the sort of sharing that makes it possible for all of us to try to get by sometimes without duplicative investment in equipment continues to happen, and it's been very much an open door for us over in Mount Pleasant and for Mount Pleasant over at Pleasantville. So that is a nice thing too. I thought last night that if it weren't for the fact that so many folks are suffering and so many people have lost parts of their home, and in some of the tragic stories we read about lost loved ones, there certainly have been a whole lot of good stories through all of this. And as I said to somebody, you know, we work pretty darn hard to make Pleasantville a good place to live, and want it to be a good place to live in good times and an even better place to live in bad. So that, I think, has been a challenge we've met during this time period, and I really, really, really hope that tomorrow when I send out an email, I will be saying that Con Ed has reported with some specificity what we can all look forward to. So again, Jeff, thank you for all your help. You are here tonight. Is there anything you want to add to the comments that might help people? Jeff Econom, our Superintendent of Public Works.
Who hasn't slept in 5 days, 6 days? How many things?
No, I'm good. I appreciate all the accolades. I just want to put the kudos to my guys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only one little cog in the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that made it come through. So
Wow.
thank you to the guys.
They are.
Thank you.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Likewise. So.
Who slept on tables, by the way, on Monday night? They slept on tables and chairs. We gave the Con Ed guy the cot.
So
Next year.
Not next year. He's not getting the cot.
That'll never happen.
we have a continued public hearing tonight about our renewal of a Cablevision franchise, and for that reason, Robert Hawk from Cablevision is here tonight. But I just wonder if I can invite you now to comment on your storm recovery efforts, because people have asked us about that.
Yes.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to skip, restating the obvious, but the bulk of our outages in the village, as well as Westchester in general, have been power related. To a lesser extent, there are feeder lines down, but overwhelmingly the issue is power supply for us. I spoke with our field operations team this afternoon, the manager for Westchester, to try to get an idea specific to the village. Our best feeling about it is that there's approximately 250 of our customers in the village who do not have any Cablevision service, either voice, video, or internet at this time. The sort of most frustrating situation is where you have power in your house and you don't have our service.
Right.
To explain why that happens, we had a little bit of a discussion about architecture last time I was here, but our system works out on nodes. It branches out like a tree or like a spider from a node, and if a node is located in one part of a neighborhood that doesn't have power, everybody served off of that node, whether there's power in their home or not, will not have service. So that's the explanation why. As soon as power comes back, is restored, our services should be restored. And again, we're working as that phases through to get our system up and running again. I do know that the direct drops to the houses, the line coming to your house off the feeders, we don't believe that any of them are loose at this time. So should the power come up, should the system come up to a node, those houses should all be connected at that time. Obviously, we've received an unusual amount of volume on our call lines, and I am sure there's a tremendous amount of frustration because of that volume of getting through. An alternative that I would like to recommend, if people do have access to either a smartphone or to the internet through Internet Cafe or library, is to go to is to send an email to the following address. I'll say it twice. It's optimum@mailca.custhelp.com, and I'll spell that out. Optimum@mailca CUSTHELP.com. If you send us an email with your information, address, home phone, if you know your account number, send it. If you have your home phone, we don't need your account number. And that way we make sure that we know that we have your information, despite the fact that the call-in system has been overwhelmed.
Robert, could I just interrupt you for a
Certainly.
minute? Because I got an email from a resident this afternoon that said that Cablevision is reporting 35% of the village is down from cable. 35% of the residents that get Pleasantville, that get Cablevision service are out.
When did you get that?
This afternoon at 12:05. And
What?
then I've got another one that somebody just got it back on, like, at what time did they get it back on?
Yeah, I had that information earlier. I think it was reviewed further, and my understanding is we're closer at 15%.
Right, at 4:39, somebody just came back on Washington Avenue. So maybe after that 12:05, you did get some more people
Yeah.
back on. Okay, good.
Another thing I'd like to mention, I know that Ms. Dwyer did circulate this information, is that Cablevision announced that our customers can receive a credit for any full or partial day during which they were unable to access Optimum services, even if the disruption was caused by a loss of electrical power. This is unusual because normally we do not credit people for outages that are not caused by our system directly.
Thank you.
So,
Yes,
yes.
that's very
Additionally,
good.
customers who have damaged Cablevision equipment, set-top boxes or modems, should inform us at that time if it was damaged as a result. Obviously, I think it was more directed towards shore communities, but if somebody did have damage to their home and their equipment was damaged, they can exchange that to us as well. So the call-in number again, so it's 30 days from the time your service is restored. You have until 30 days to report that credit to us. Right now, I do not recommend trying to call in. Wait a few days. The call-in number, 866-218-3259, or you can contact us on the email contact, through our webpage, optimum.net, or cablevision.com. And if you do get any direct inquiries from your constituents, particularly, again, those situations where they have power but no service, please let me know. Patty knows how to get a hold of me, and I'll be happy to escalate that for you.
Great, thank you for that. So we'll hear from you again in a little while when we have the continued public hearing, but I just want to thank you for that. That was great.
Yes,
Thank you very much, Ron.
And we've reached out to Verizon asking for a similar report, but just happen to have you with feet on the ground here, and very much appreciate that. So thank you, Robin. I had three other things to say, and one, Sarah, before you leave there from the patch, I just wanted to say we've gotten great help from these local news services. David Proper here from the Examiner, Sarah Studley from the Patch, the Pleasantville Daily Voice have been great means of getting out information to people as well, and I just want to thank all of you for having been so attentive to all that goes on here. We occasionally struggle with you, which is as it's supposed to be, but in these tough times, it's been great to have an alternative means of getting information out to other people, so thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you, Sarah.
A number of people have forwarded suggestions to me about things we might do better, and we are carefully compiling all those. Certainly, we've been put through a drill here that nobody anticipated we would be put through in quite this manner and for quite this long, and it's been great to get some feedback from people about things we could do better or more efficiently, and we're keeping track of all of that, and certainly we'll have a long sort of a post-mortem to think about our emergency services and ways in which we can do an even better job than we have done now, especially since the past 18 months or so suggest that we're going to get lots of exercise with it. So thank you for all of that, and I encourage anybody to offer further suggestions. One thing a number of people have said to me is that it's difficult when the most timely updates are only available in electronic form, because obviously the people who most want to get them are the ones that don't have power. Lots of people have alternative means of getting to the internet, at least when they get to to the library or a church or a cafe or something of that kind, but lots of people don't have internet at all. So just in the short term, we've been posting those in paper form on the doors to Village Hall, and as I mentioned, sending them to churches as well as to the library. A bunch of people had asked me, why can't we mail them to individual households? And thus far, we've been feeling as though by the time they get printed and addressed and mailed, it would be old news. So certainly working on ways to do a better job, and every day we're getting a little better, I think. So
we discussed
keeping at it.
actually on Tuesday a reverse 911. But again, you have the phone issue, but it could go to your cell phone. So it's something else that it's expensive, but it's very worth it in these times.
But I do very strongly remind everybody, pleasantville-ny.gov, when you do have internet access, sign up for those news announcements, and you'll get all this stuff automatically. It's just a great mechanism.
Right.
And then the last point I wanted to make amid all of this is FEMA reimbursement may be available to us because the president has now declared Westchester as a disaster area, and we will certainly be keeping very careful tabs on all of our costs. But in the absence of that significant reimbursement, the world of the 2% tax cap and the world of hurricanes don't strike me as compatible in the same budget year. So I don't know what it all means for all of us, but extraordinary efforts are underway, and it's costing everybody a lot of money, and I'll be interested to hear what the governor and the legislature have to say about all of that as we go forward. So anybody else have something to add?
I'll give you odds on what they have to say.
All right. Shall we place a public bet?
My bet is
Except that we're both on the same side.
Incredibly quiet on the whole issue would be my guess.
All right. So again, remind everybody, as Colleen mentioned, tomorrow night 6 to 10, Clinton Street Center. If you're out of power, come on down and enjoy some camaraderie as you watch the election returns. It may be that the real election returns are going to be more like 10 a.m. the following day.
God, I hope not.
Especially given what seems like a bit of a challenge. But again, just to remind everybody, Board of Elections says go to your normal polling place. All right.
And it's important to note, we have nothing to do with that. I mean, that's
right.
They're completely in their purview.
We're helping wherever we can, but it's not our game. So
our call.
That said, we are. Do we need a motion to continue a public hearing, Patty?
Open hearing.
All right. So a motion to reopen continuation of a public hearing began October 2nd regarding the Cablevision franchise agreement.
Oh, so moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We discussed 2 weeks ago in some detail or was it 4 weeks ago? It says 10-2. It was 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? I think that date is wrong, Patty, that 10-2 date?
It was
10-22, yeah.
I left off.
All right, mover and seconder are happy with that
Yes.
edit. We discussed in some detail 2 weeks ago the proposal that Cablevision has presented to us for a renewal of their long since lapsed franchise agreement to provide cable TV services in the village of Pleasantville. The proposal they gave us was essentially the same as the existing franchise agreement we agreed to a couple of years ago with Verizon, with a number of changes specific to the situation with Cablevision. A number of questions were raised on that occasion, and one of them that was of particular interest to us was the matter that has existed for a long period of time where the education channel, which is broadcast to Pleasantville subscribers, reaches only subscribers in the village of Pleasantville and cannot reach about a third of the school district who are outside the village boundary. And that was a matter that we asked Robert Hawk, who we will invite back shortly, to comment on. And there was also an extended discussion about the possibility of including in the new franchise agreement with Cablevision the opportunity to increase the support on a per subscriber basis for public access TV that would be contingent upon Verizon agreeing to the same, recognizing that Verizon has an existing franchise agreement with us and they have no obligation to reopen that. It gave rise to a substantial discussion about the ways in which public access could be supported. So can I invite you back, Robert, now in the context of the public hearing to comment on the questions we had raised?
With no podium, we're sorry.
Yes, I apologize.
Yeah, we don't know where it
The
is.
podium has gone south on us. This is not an effort to put you on the spot. Welcome back.
Thank you. Before I address those specific issues, if I could just mention, I did submit a new draft to Mr. Turner and provided a copy to Ms. Dwyer. The changes between that and the document that was on file for the hearing, first of all, as mentioned, there's this contingency to increase the PEG obligation where Cablevision will agree upon Verizon agreeing to do the same. We've upped the amount to $1.35 per subscriber, which is the amount that the other communities in this area who were negotiating as part of a consortium, that's the amount that they max out at under their agreements with Verizon. So again, this would be the opportunity to realize that higher level of support early in the agreement rather than having to wait for the last 5 years as the other communities do. The proposed agreement has the term has been shortened at the request of Trustee Griffin Wagner from 15 to 12 years, so that it would expire more contemporaneously with the Verizon agreement. Can't guarantee the exact date because the effective date of this agreement is dependent on when the Public Service Commission approves, but they'll roughly expire at the same time. In addition, I adjusted the existing per subscriber amount to knock off the first 3 years rather than the last 3 years. So after 2 years, you would bump up. If Verizon does not agree to match the higher rate, you would immediately bump up to the 60 cents in year 3 rather than having to wait for year 5.
Okay, that's good. Thank you for that.
In addition, I know Mr. Janus from Verizon issued a letter from Chicago with some objections to our level playing field language. I believe this draft corrects those. I think the real concern was on level playing field terms, particularly with the PEG grant, who is going to step first in the obligation of paying. And so we have, not that we thought it was a problem, but we have removed any confusion over the fact that we are willing to step first. And however, should Verizon not abide by the obligations in their franchise, it does give us the opportunity to pay the same amount that they do in PEG support. Questions from the meeting. Again, the issue was about providing the educational access signal outside of the municipal boundaries of the village. As I was educated, I guess 2 weeks ago, that this is a long-standing problem. I don't think it's unique. I think it's a question of architecture and a question of what a cable company's obligation is under federal law in franchising. And again, the way it works in New York State is each city, town, and village has the ability to franchise with a cable operator, and the powers, the rights and responsibilities of that franchise agreement are listed to the municipal boundaries, limited to the municipal boundaries. And your own village code dealing with cable law reflects that. In the definition of what is a franchise area and what is the definition of a service area. And the franchise we operate under, the expired franchise we operate under, was created in conjunction with that local law. And it states that the franchise area shall be the corporate limits of the village, including all territory thereafter annexed to the village. And the service area is defined as the entire geographic area within the franchise territory. So under federal law, as memorialized in your own local law, the obligations of the franchisee have always been within the corporate limits of the village. And
So, I mean, just to interrupt there,
Sure.
I get all that, and I don't think any of us were arguing that Cablevision has failed in some way. obviously, we're only able to consider and accept a franchise within our legal limits of the village. But the problem we have, as you know, is that about a third of the school district is outside the village boundaries, and so they don't get that signal. And because of, I mean, you'll explain, I gather, but the architecture of the system, you can't deliver it. Verizon, when presented with this problem, because they have a different architecture, did not have a problem in addressing it. So at the moment, although we can't hold anybody's feet to the fire to deliver it, Verizon was able to deliver this benefit to us, which provides significant relief to our village public access TV station.
Right. But again, I point out what the law is because it was portrayed as a deficiency at the last meeting, and I just
Well, it's a
respectfully disagree that it is a deficiency.
It's
Now,
not a deficiency, according to the letter of the law, but it is certainly a deficiency from the standpoint of our capacity to deliver an education channel that gets the people that are supposed to get it.
Right. Yeah, I think, Robert, I mean, again, I don't think any of us see it as a deficiency relative to the law, just to be clear. I don't anyways. What I see it as, when we negotiated with Verizon, that was a very important part of our negotiations, which one might conclude if you had voted for it, which I didn't, but is a reason, one of the main reasons that you voted for that contract. I look at this, you guys are coming back to us using the rules of the road that have been dictated to us in terms of level playing field, and I appreciate the tweaks that Cablevision's made to the contract to bring it in line with the expiration of the Verizon contract. However, if I'm to live under the dictates of a level playing field rules of the road that you guys are pushing and want, I mean, basically your contract is exactly the same as the Verizon contract, then I'm going to insist that you guys live up to it, to the letter of what we negotiated. And we negotiated a service area that includes parts that are outside of the village with them, and agreed to it for monetary reasons, for whatever reasons you want to go into it, but that was a contract that we agreed to. And so I'd like you guys to match that contract, since that's the contract you want to give us. And if you can't, if your architecture prevents you from doing it, then we should talk about some sort of monetary adjustment to make that contract exactly the same as the services that we get from Verizon.
well, we've taken their contract word for word. I mean,
Right.
there's no difference, and there is no obligation for them to provide the educational channel outside.
Well,
They have
as
the
you know-
Well, because it's a given, because they're.
Well, no. Well, it not only was a given, but as you know, in these contract negotiations, you know, you try to memorialize everything you can on the paper, and you know, and there are handshake agreements that went along with that too, and that was one of the. We might have missed it by what the actual words were.
I don't think we have the right.
They were.
I don't think we have the right to include it in the contract. It's not our purview, but it certainly was a discussion that Verizon promised to fulfill. So,
We're not precluded from doing it.
No, I understand. So
And there may come the time when our architecture allows us to do that.
your system architecture. I mean,
Right.
it's a hardware
And again,
problem.
so
right?
where we are here, Cablevision purchased the Ossining system from Continental Cable.
Right.
And so all the local access channels come back to the local head end in Ossining. The way Verizon works is my understanding. I'm not a customer, so I don't watch them, but my understanding is
shocked.
all the local access channels come back to a super head end, whether New Jersey or Virginia, I'm not sure. But my understanding is if you're in Verizon footprint, you know, they have made a choice to run all these channels from everywhere. And so, you know, that's a programming decision that they have made. I sense it was an easy yes for them to offer you because of the fact and that they do that. That's their programming practice. That's what they do. We have different programming practices for our customers to maintain local interest. We have News 12 and we have MSG Varsity, and they don't provide those kinds of services, but what they've decided is to use spare bandwidth to provide all these access channels, and that's their choice to do that. And it's our choice to program as we see fit to program as well, and in a competitive environment. And I think there's an understanding now that people have more choices, not just us, but Verizon or Satellite or Hulu or Netflix, that, if they don't like how we program, they have options in terms of getting other programming.
Yeah, the only difficulty that I have goes right back to not only the fact that this contract eviscerated the PEG payments to our station, but it's not done anything to alleviate the workload that has been put onto our station. Thought we were making progress with the Verizon contract with doing that. In fact, we did, in hopes that up until last week, it was our understanding that based on previous conversations with Cablevision, which you're now saying doesn't work, that Cablevision could actually make those adjustments too, just never bothered to do it. Now I understand from you, and I don't think it was you that was actually saying it, it was probably your predecessor, but that's not possible from a architecture or engineering standpoint. But nonetheless, I need if the monetary or the remuneration that you guys are offering is dropping as substantially as it's dropping from both you and Verizon, we need the workload that your architecture puts on our station to drop commensurately as well, or we need to get paid for it, and that's just and a level playing field is a level playing field. However you want to however you want to look at it, and Verizon does it. You're using Verizon's contract almost word for word. I want you guys to do it, so that Shane isn't there all day on Fridays switching over and making sure that the education channel or the public access channel is now playing the education channel, because Cablevision can't access that customer base for that channel. So that's my only real request is that either alleviate us of that burden of having to do that, or pay us for it. Either way is fine by me. I don't care, as long as the contracts are then truly level.
Yeah, again, I don't think that's going to be an option. We've proposed, and albeit it's a contingency, one of the most generous PEG support methods on a per subscriber basis to this community. And again, you were kind of dancing around this a little bit,
I'm not dancing
but
around
it's
anything.
going
I'm going right at
to
the point.
it's going to an issue that relates to customers that are outside the franchise area. And again, the franchise with the village has always been based on the power that you have to grant a franchise within the municipal limits of the village.
Okay, so have you got a signed franchise with Mount Pleasant?
No, we do not.
And are you negotiating now?
We have been on and off, but I really am not
so
at liberty
is
to
it-
discuss the details.
Is
of
it an
negotiation.
option to include the
just
Pleasantville
go
School
with it.
District education channel through the Mount Pleasant franchise?
I couldn't discuss that because of our negotiations
Okay,
with the
so I'm not
separate
asking you as
municipality.
a negotiating matter, I'm asking you as a technical matter.
Yes, is it feasible?
As a legal and a technical matter, any municipality the educational channel is your channel. It's not
not our-
Yes, it is. It's the village's channel.
Okay, except,
It's not the school district's channel, and you have the right to use it for educational purposes. Now,
Okay,
there
so-
are municipalities that have multiple school districts, and they figure out ways of.
We have multiple school districts, don't we?
we have residents who are in the Mount Pleasant, in the Westlake School District.
That's
Right.
correct.
So if you decided through your studio, if you had control over the educational channel and there was content from Westlake, it would be within your right to run that content on the educational channel. And the fact that you have a channel that does go beyond the corporate boundaries of the village and that you are able to get programming out there, you've actually figured out a very good solution to getting your programming outside of the borders of the village.
And, okay, brief tape change. For the brief delay, we had to change a tape in the camera. Let me ask a question, and that is that the public access channel, PCTV, obviously reaches beyond the village border because we're using it at the moment on Fridays to reach those people in the school district who are outside the village. Why is that?
That's a legacy of the agreement between the village and Continental.
So Continental agreed to provide a bigger reach for our public access station,
Correct.
even though it is outside the aforementioned legal boundaries.
Correct.
And had you been there, you would never have agreed to it.
Emily Spalding would have.
But doesn't
she's
that
the one who
allow-
told us
I won't tell you where I was at that time.
Okay,
Doesn't
so
that- but
you were
doesn't that mean
in-
that the architecture exists to expand the education out beyond those borders?
I mean, yes, it's potential. And like I said, I think that the agreement,
So it could be. The education
it could be, and I
expand.
think at some time, it could be done. And I don't
But
think
I mean,
franchise precludes it.
Okay,
But it's already in place. The architecture is in place if it's done on one channel. I mean, right? I mean,
it's a bandwidth issue.
It's a programming issue.
Okay,
do we
so
switch 'em?
Okay.
can I ask you another question then?
Got it.
If,
switch 'em.
if the current
Right.
broader reach of PCTV is a legacy of the old Continental system, what does that mean for where PCTV signal will reach under the proposed new contract?
There's
Will it shrink?
there's no plan to change it,
But you could.
But under the agreement, the obligation is to provide it within the municipal boundaries
So
of the village.
you could, if you made different programming decisions, reduce the reach of PCTV from what it has always been.
Potentially, just as Verizon could pull the educational channel off of the other, so that it doesn't reach other communities.
So,
They have no obligation to maintain that channel.
so what you're saying here as a representative of Cablevision is that you are not aware of any intention to do that.
Correct.
There has been no discussion of doing that, but you retain the right to do it if something should change in the future.
Under the Verizon agreement that we've adopted, yes.
Uh-huh. Are you willing to include in your agreement the agreement to maintain the status quo as part of your franchise agreement?
Will you vote tonight?
I somewhat doubt that. But is that an offer?
We can't vote tonight because we don't have a resolution. This was the open hearing. But
So can I take from that a certain degree of openness to that discussion?
It depends on how many issues we have outstanding. I can't
Yes.
I can't go down
right.
this road at
we're
this
feeling good
point
about what you're saying.
feeling that we still have a lot of outstanding issues
Right.
when we feel
Look,
like
I mean,
we've done quite a bit to
I do think you've done
try
quite
to
a bit.
work with you.
I appreciate what you've come back to us with tonight. I appreciate your willingness to adjust the contract term and your willingness to adjust it in a way that front loads the improved per subscriber payment for public access. All that's good, and I certainly appreciate your willingness and continue to resent Verizon's unwillingness to include in its franchise agreement more support for public access. So all that's good, and I personally appreciate that, and I think all of us do. So thank you, Cablevision, for that. That said, you've come back to us with news which isn't what we hope to hear about the problem we have with reach to the school district, and I fully understand the legal basis for it, and you recognize that unless you are all feeling beneficent, you don't have to agree to do that, but you could. So one piece that certainly is of interest is the question of whether PCTV would maintain its current reach, and that feels like a good and important and valuable thing, especially since it has other implications for PCTV and its means of maintaining its viability down the road in an environment with reduced support from the cable giants. So What I'm going to suggest about that is, anybody else have anything more to say? If anybody has any comments they'd like to add to the record, 769-1677. Patty, I'm inclined to adjourn the hearing once more, to reschedule it for 2 weeks, at which point we intend, I think, and expect to hear any further comments and then close the hearing. Does that sound right?
Given
Anybody
the
else happy
events
with
of
that?
the last week, I think it's only fair to the residents to give them just a little more time to think about.
Yeah, well, especially
Maybe they
since
want to
a big percentage of them
speak.
even
Don't have power.
are.
They don't have cable.
That's
Or
right.
Cablevision.
The best chance tonight is to watch it,
But I've not received any additional comments
Okay.
in writing
Last one.
or in
Okay,
conversation.
we'll do that.
Unfortunately, we have deprived some people of the compelling opportunity to hear us chatter about cable TV. So I want to thank you for that, Robert. Thank you for what
Thanks,
you've come
Robert.
back with. I do appreciate all of that, and we'll have some further conversation offline and with Rick Turner, our counsel, on this matter, but I do think we're getting close to the end.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out.
So is there a motion to adjourn the public hearing and to reopen, to our next regular meeting, Monday, November 19th?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. So, a motion approved. Okay. That gets us to our resolutions. Number 198. Going.
Resolved that pre-check register dated November 5, 2012, covering check numbers 73817 through 73933 have been reviewed and they are hereby approved as listed below. From the General Fund, Special Purpose Fund, Water Fund, Capital Fund, Refuse Fund, Pool Fund, Trust and Agency Fund, totaling $258,690.56.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments or correction or questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Mindy, 199.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby accepts a donation in the amount of $1,800 from Zeltzman Associates towards the farmers market activities.
Is there a second?
Second.
Zeltzman Associates is the corporate name of Community Markets, and we thank them for this support, which was part of a negotiated agreement with them. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. That was a short list, maybe the shortest ever. Nothing like a hurricane.
Well, no reason to extend it, so. Say goodnight. Say goodnight.
Weren't there minutes?
Judy.
Weren't ready.
No minutes this time. So, I just want to let people know also that we started the evening with a work session, and we'll continue with a work session that follows. But a couple of the things that were under discussion in our work session include the tile roof here on Village Hall, 80 Wheeler Avenue. We have occupied this building now for 14 years and have had some water infiltration issues on the roof. Thank you to the fire department for many things, but in this case for providing the tower truck to get our roof consultant up to take a look at the top of the roof. And we had a report tonight from Marty Kravitz, the architect we hired to assist us with this and who was involved in the original renovation. And it looks like sometime next spring we're likely to have to spend somewhere in the vicinity of $75,000 on some roof and gutter repairs and also improved controls for snow and ice that accumulate on the roof. So that was one matter under discussion. And then, Mindy, do you want to comment on the discussion we had about the pool complex? You've been in lead of that.
Yes. We have talked a great deal about updating the facility down there, the actual pool house, not the pool itself, and the whole filter area. And we have come up with a couple plans, and fortunately Jeff Econom is a engineer and works on a CAD system, and one portion of the building we work with our Parks and Recreation Advisory Board and our Superintendent of Recreation, Linda Belafato, and we've put together a way that we can move some walls around and paint and make it look on the opposite side of where the bathrooms are into a new facility with the rearrangement of some of the offices, having the pool director up at the front of the building by the pools to be able to, it's more of a safety reason to have the pool director to be able to look out onto the pools, still with the lifeguard, I'm sorry, the, Red Cross station or the,
Lifeguard station.
what is it
First
called?
aid.
Thank you, first aid. I'm thinking the little red station up by the front of the pool as well, and it will be a great new look and some landscaping out there, and we have contracted with a company to give us a plan on the bathrooms and the showers. So it's exciting. It will look great, and we can hopefully start that sooner rather than later and do it over the winter and have at least one portion of it ready for the summer.
Thank you for that. And then on a similar vein, we've been in the midst of a renovation of the old ambulance corps building adjacent to the football field on Marble Avenue, and that is making its way forward. Obviously slowed down a little bit given all that's been going on here, but the contractor was working vigorously today, and we think, Patty, within the next 4 weeks we'll be moving in?
Well, yeah,
No.
they're actually
6 weeks?
overdue now, so
Yeah.
I can't, unfortunately, we expected to occupy it this week.
Right.
Let's see how
We're
far
late on
behind
the-
we are, so.
Window deliveries and door deliveries.
We'll be meeting with Mr. Cornelia this week just to get, some commitments in
All right,
order.
so we're pushing on that, but that will, at the point where it's complete, the rec offices that are currently on the third floor here in Village Hall will move on down there. That'll be easier access for everybody, and we'll also have a new program facility room that will give us some new options. So the fast-moving target, I just got an email from Paul Egensteiner at the Lutheran Church, who reports that he has been contacted by somebody at the Board of Elections, and FEMA is dropping off a generator that will be hooked up tomorrow morning at 5:30 a.m. And so the Lutheran Church will in fact be open as a polling place, just as was described at the outset, even though we weren't quite sure how. So there you have it. Sounds like the system is working at least on a couple of cylinders. So any further comments? Thank you all.
Stay safe,
We
Stay warm.
will be, again, reporting on a daily basis until we're out of this post-storm mess. Clearly, we have a ways to go. I just want to thank you all for your patience and for making Pleasantville such a great place to live and to work and to suffer through a difficult time together. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night.
Good night. See you in
night.
2 weeks.